Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. Well, something mysterious is being built in the secluded northeast desert of China, and nobody seems to know what they are. Over the years, researchers and just average everyday people have been drawn to satellite images like this taken from Google Earth, of which many you've probably seen before at one time or another, with depictions of these gigantic structures in the middle of nowhere that have intrigued us for years, even after getting attention from various online and mainstream news outlets. To this day, we are still left with few answers as to what these magnificent structures are, why they are being built, and just what is going on in the Chinese desert. And so, in today's video, I want to discuss some of these structures, along with some new discoveries that I've made on my own that, to say the least, have left me even more dumbfounded, led me further down the rabbit hole, and made me even more suspicious about what's going on. And we have found out some very intriguing and, suspicious information about these satellite photos. So first, let's just start with these basic pics here. They've been posted online in the past, people trying to figure out what they are. Again, in the middle of nowhere. We'll start with this one here, which appears to show just a sort of random grid of these wide, reflective or metallic-looking lines that may have been dug by machinery, possibly used for some sort of secret government or military experiment. Here we have a similar grid just down the ways a bit, featuring, again, a network of interconnected lines within this almost perfect square shape, stretching miles in all directions. Now, located in between can be found what looked to me at least like some sort of massive runway or airport, except that the color of it is sort of a bright cyan and seems almost to be full of water or made of some strange material. Next to it, we can see almost an identical structure that some have said is maybe a decoy of the first one, and that maybe these are some sort of testing grounds, and that very well may be. But the more you scour this barren, empty wasteland, the stranger things get, and one of the most bizarre and intriguing discoveries, and likely the most massive out of all of these that we've found, can only be described as a massive grid of thousands of almost perfect lines intersecting with one another to create a T shape that is 30 miles in length and around 18 miles at its shortest. And so this thing is so massive that you're only able to see parts of it on Google Maps unless you're zoomed out really far. So let's go ahead and zoom down here. And so here we are. We're going to zoom in, and we're going to start at the very end of this massive structure that looks to be made by some sort of vehicle. And just the fact that from this point here, where we start and where it ends, is over 30 miles. And so whatever vehicle or vehicles this was that did this, it almost seems like they traced over it multiple times, going back, forth, down, up, back down, for 30 miles, to the point where you can see it from orbit. And as we zoom in closer here, you can see that these are definitely tracks of some sort, multiple tracks. You can see where they curve, come up, and when we zoom out, the perfection of these, that's another question I have, is just the sheer perfection of this entire massive structure here. So let me go ahead and turn it. Just as we go up, you can see, I mean, every single line, all the spaces in between are pristine. I mean, they are perfect, perfectly spaced, and I'm wondering what the utility of this is. And they go over all different types of rugged terrains. The terrain changes multiple times. And yet these lines, they go right through it, as if the terrain is not even there. Okay, here you can see where the cross section is, starting from right here, stretching across, and stopping around right here. And you can see with the clouds here, that kind of give us some perspective about how massive this structure is. So we have this T shape, the cross section here about 18 miles. We continue going up. And yeah, look how rugged the terrain gets, and yet still perfect lines, hardly any deviation before finally the structure ends. And something else I noticed about this structure when I was zooming in really close, let's see if I can find them for you, is that there are some other strange grid-like patterns in between these lines. Okay, so we have 6 rows of 4, and again, you can see they're perfectly spaced apart, and, look like little teeny dots, but these are not dots. And as I'm looking at these strange patterns here, I'm starting to wonder, what the hell are these? And as I scoured other regions of the desert, I soon found out what these are. And that's when it became apparent to me that what we are seeing here are rows and rows of massive piles of dirt, stretching for 30 miles, and on each and every one of these crisscrossing lines. So you say, well, if these are piles of dirt, where is it coming from? And that is what I'm going to show you now. And so here we are, zoomed back out. You can see I have some place marks here. And we'll go ahead and zoom in. And you'll notice that these place marks are found right next to these massive runway-like structures. And each one of these place marks represent an underground entrance. So let's go ahead and zoom in here. And one of the first things I noticed before I found these entrances is some more just massive grids stretching for miles of these huge dirt piles. And if you're looking here, you can see them. It looks like the ground is studded. And as you zoom in closer, you find out that we are seeing potentially hundreds of thousands, even millions, if we're scouring this entire desert region, of these mounds of unearthed dirt, all perfectly placed side by side by these trucks and all of the vehicle tracks you can find that lead up to them. And I'll show you some more here. Now here are some more piles that aren't in any sort of specific grid pattern. And so I'm going to show you some of these entrances. And they are all located within this area of dirt piles. So here we have the first, right next to this giant airport-like structure. And one thing I noticed about all these, they look all very similar to the same sort of underground entrances that we have found around Area 51 and all of the secretive bases in the deserts of the United States. So here we have 2 more. 2 of them, you can see a structure right here built over top. Likely some sort of support structure. We have these 2 massive structures here. I'm not sure if these lead underground. Now here we have another, and it would appear that whatever is right here in this area, it's been blacked out by Google. So that sort of mystified me and made me wonder what it was that was so secretive that Google was forced to black it out. And so we'll go to a few more. And again, we have 2 more entrances, possibly one for trucks going down and another for trucks coming back out. And here we have a whole bunch of entrances. We also have some structures, some tower-like structures here. We have a building here, but here, all entrances. We're talking miles and miles of dirt being excavated from down below. And, yeah, I have no idea what's going on here. Another thing to note is that it was discovered that somebody, and we don't know who, has over the years been ordering tons of satellite photographs of this area, and particularly of these mysterious structures. And this is according to a Gizmodo article who spoke with a former CIA analyst who said that there is someone out there who is ordering, or some unknown entity that is ordering tons of satellite photos of this area since 2004, and that you can see the extreme density of these requests when you turn on the digital globe layer in Google Earth, which basically means that the satellite has received commands to photograph this area many hundreds of times, and is also paying a pretty penny because it is expensive to have satellite images taken. And so, yeah, there you guys have it. I think that we have discovered some sort of massive underground mining or excavation operation. I don't know what it is they're building, but when you have thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands, again, it could even be millions of these mounds of dirt, well, that dirt is coming from somewhere, and who knows how large whatever it is they are building under there. And it's just, it's baffling. So you guys tell me what you think. Be sure to share and subscribe on your way out. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to stop by the online shop. Grab yourself a Secureteam hoodie or winter cap, as it's getting a bit colder out there. I really appreciate that as well. And you know I'll be sporting mine. So stay tuned, stay safe, and I'll see you all back in just a bit.